How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Kevin McCarthy, the Republican House rep from California, becoming your next Speaker of the House for the 118th Congress. Now, there's a lot I want to say here. There's a lot that goes into this whole story, but first, let's talk about what you just saw at the very beginning. Now, that was a confrontation between two Republican House reps, Mike Rogers and Matt Gaetz. You see, it took 16 rounds for McCarthy to get elected. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment, but it took 16 rounds, and I think in round 15, Matt Gaetz was the only vote away from McCarthy becoming the next speaker. So I guess Mike Rogers got a little bit upset. He's getting irritated, and he's getting ready to confront Matt Gaetz in a physical way. So you had to get restrained. There's pictures, there's articles everywhere. Here is kind of, here's McCarthy talking to Matt Gaetz, and, you got House reps and everybody just kind of looking on. This is right before Mike Rogers came out and had to almost put fisticuffs on that man. But this is what's going on. You see the headline here. We're on New York Times. The moment when tempers really got out of control on the House floor. And in the same video I showed you, they got black and white pictures. They putting it out there like that. They're trying to tie it to January 6th, another insurrection. It's a whole big mess, But ultimately, Kevin McCarthy has become the next Speaker of the House after 16 rounds. And I saw it coming. I think anybody could have seen this coming. Nobody was going to be the Speaker other than Kevin McCarthy, okay? You had at max 20 holdouts who refused to vote for McCarthy. They were trying to vote for Byron Donalds, Jim Jordan, Donald Trump, whoever they could other than McCarthy. And I guess the purpose was to get certain quote unquote concessions. If you ask them, mostly in the Freedom Caucus, if you ask them, they'll say, oh, it's not concessions for us personally. It's things that are going to help the American people. And I think they're talking about the rules package that'll probably get passed on Monday. There's a few things in there that they wanted to change that will help the process go smoother, better, and whatnot in Washington, D.C., as far as passing legislation, voting on things, so on and so forth. But that's what's going on. McCarthy is the next Speaker of the House. Now, the Democrats have their own guy that they wanted, Hakeem Jeffries. And let me tell you something right here. What I'm about to say, don't misunderstand me. I am a conservative, true blue, 100%, and there's nothing that's going to change that. However, I think Hakeem Jeffries gave an amazing speech last night because this whole process took hours. I was up watching the entire thing until about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning Eastern time last night as they confirmed them and did all their procedural stuff and gave their speeches and everything. I saw Hakeem Jeffries give an amazing speech from the point of view of a leftist. Do I think it's amazing? Do I think that what he said makes sense? Do I think that he had good talking points? No, I don't. But it doesn't matter what I think. What the left thinks, what his target audience thinks is what matters. Now, let's go ahead and watch some of this. And, of course, this will be in the description. As of right now, of course, he's not the Speaker of the House. That's Kevin McCarthy. But he is the House Minority Leader. And I think they're going to run this man in 2024 for president, maybe 2028 or after that. If they get a guy in there next time, like Gavin Newsom, and he wins and they ride him for 8 years, he'll be next. I guarantee you. Or this will be the vice president. He will be in high leadership. Let's go ahead and roll it.
A year of accomplishment to a year of ambiguity. A moment of transition. The American people, understandably, after the events of this week, recognize that the Congress is at a fork in the road and are asking the question, what direction will we choose? On this first day, I do not pretend to answer that question.
Now, this is toward the end of his speech. I'm just giving you a preview of kind of how he is. I'm getting Obama vibes from 2004, from 2006, 2007. I'm getting Obama vibes all day long. Okay. Low cut, kind of halfway handsome guy, fair skin, bloviating talking points. He hit every single talking point. The jab, the economy, QAnon, racism, xenophobe. He hit everything in this particular speech. I'll play a little bit more of this, and I'll place the entire video in the description so you can watch it if you really want to. And then after this, I'm going to get to some more about what the Freedom Caucus got from Kevin McCarthy.
On behalf of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, but we do extend our hand of partnership to you and want to make clear that we extend and intend to try to find common ground whenever and wherever possible on behalf of the American people. Not as Democrats, not as Republicans, not as independents, but as Americans.
Now, for that, he got bipartisan applause. Bipartisan applause, which, of course, was by design. Now, there's a lot more to this. Of course, I will put this in the description box, but you kind of get the idea of what's going on with Hakeem Jeffries. This guy, the speech was amazing from the point of view of a leftist. He's going to be their next presidential nominee if they're smart. They're going to try to run the husk of a man called Joe Biden again, probably in 2024, or they're going to try to run Gavin Newsom because he's doing certain things right now in California to get himself prepared for a presidential run. Reparations for black people. What else? You can't use rap lyrics in court. He's doing stuff like that to try to gain a lot of political power, a lot of momentum to propel himself into the 2024 race. But they might run that guy right there. Now, here is what the Freedom Caucus got from McCarthy. This is why they were holding out. This is what they say. They say these things are going to help the American people. They're not just concessions for themselves. So you see what the headline says. This is on BBC. He says, the headline says, what is Kevin McCarthy giving up and at what price? So we're just going to go through some of these, the bold headlines here. Concession, one member election trigger. Now, you may have heard about this. I'm going to read into that myself because I've not really done a lot of research on that. We're going to read it together and see what they say about it. And of course, you're on BBC, so this may be a little bit skewed, but I think the general idea will pretty much be what it is. So they say one of the key demands of the Republican holdouts was the ability for just one legislator to trigger a vote on whether to remove the speaker from office. This, quote, motion to vacate, unquote, could spawn another round of voting in the House, just like what we've seen this past week, serving as a proverbial sword dangling over his head for every minute he has the gavel. Cost, the motion to vacate is a rule that has a long history in Congress. Yes, that's correct. This rule had been around since, I think, the 1800s until Nancy Pelosi changed it. Now they put it back into effect. So it's not a new rule. It's a very old rule that had recently been changed. Now they're going back. Okay. But anyway, it's long history in Congress, but the number of people necessary to trigger it was raised to 5 in recent years under Pelosi to prevent a lone member of Congress from threatening the speaker's power. While the holdouts have promised not to abuse their privilege if it is restored, Mr. McCarthy's hold on power will be much more unstable with it in place. All right. Another concession, no easy path to push through legislation. We can just kind of skim through these concessions. Conservatives could be making the rules. Let's read a little bit of this. As its name might suggest, the House Rules Committee essentially sets the rules of the game on the floor of the House. The committee determines when a bill will be voted on, how long it is debated for, and how it can be altered by amendment on the floor or whether it can be changed at all. Mr. McCarthy is guaranteed to give the hardcore conservatives at least one seat on this powerful group. So basically, what was it like giving them a committee, giving them a seat, giving them a little bit of power that way. Cost, a seat at the table gets you in the game. With more representation on the Rules Committee, conservatives will be able to shape the kind of legislation in the House produces before it really takes shape and nip undesired proposals in the bud. All right, there's AOC. Concession taking plum rolls away from supporters. Another one, concession spending restraints. That's a big one. A common complaint among hardcore conservatives has been that the federal spending has surged to unsustainable levels. During the speaker fight, they have asked Mr. McCarthy to commit to tangible fiscal restraints, such as cutting spending to 2022 levels, requiring that any increase in the amount of debt the government issues be tied to corresponding budget cuts and allowing individual lines of spending to be removed from large legislation through votes on the House floor. Okay. And another one, prioritize their issues. So that's pretty much it. That was the reason why they were holding out. Some people said, we're never going to vote Kevin McCarthy. It'll never happen. All this, that, and the third. But obviously that was not the case. Every one of the 20 holdouts, let me come back so you can see me clearly. All of the 20 holdouts who refused to vote Kevin McCarthy wound up either voting for him or not voting against him. You see, the 20 holdouts at first were talking about, okay, we want Jim Jordan. Then it became Byron Donalds. Then it became, I think, maybe somebody else. But ultimately, in the 16th round of voting, they either flipped to Kevin McCarthy or they flipped to present. And the way that the math worked out, he had enough votes to be able to win with the way that everybody voted. So even if Matt Gaetz says, you know what, I did not vote McCarthy, I stuck to my guns, I voted present rather than for Jim Jordan or Donald Trump or somebody else, it didn't really matter because the math made it to where McCarthy was going to win based upon the number of votes that he did have. But as I close, I want to say this. I think we all saw this coming. This could be a little bit of political theater. This could be people just wanting to get things for themselves, or it could be they're doing things for the American people. Whatever you guys think about that, y'all let me know, but I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about this whole process of Kevin McCarthy becoming the next Speaker of the House? Should he be the Speaker? Should he not be the Speaker? If not him, then who? And what can they do that Kevin McCarthy cannot or will not do? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. How do you feel about Hakeem Jeffries? Is he going to be the next president, or pardon me, the next DNC nominee? Is it going to be Gavin Newsom? Is it going to be the husk of a guy we got in there right now? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys pretty much know where I'm at. This was a foregone conclusion. It was going to be McCarthy. I just hope that they're able to get laws through to help the American people. And I hope that this holdout and this whole kind of song and dance, dog and pony show was not that. Hopefully it was a thing that's going to really help us as American citizens. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.